So, hi guys, welcome back to the Scottish Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I'm Martin Hamilton. I'm joined today by Chris the Problem Duncan. How you doing, Chris?
Superb, mate. How you getting on?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. How's America
Good.
treating you?
It's been good, man. Good. As I said before, I had a little bit of an ankle injury, so I took about 7 to 10 days off, like wrestling, but I was still able to do pads and stuff like that. Just part and parcel of the training camp. That's what happens. Sometimes you get a wee niggle here and there, so just having to nurse that and doing the right things. But I've got all the right coaches around about me just now to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So got back to sparring today for the first time since last week. So yeah, feeling good, feeling ready to rock.
Because that's the thing as well, Chris, that although you're based in Stirling, you're over in Florida the now, American Top Team. What's that like, and what's the learning experience has been like being over at one of the world's top gyms?
Oh mate, it's fucking yeah. I can't even fathom how much like we're behind as people. Like not just like an ability, but like I mean, like they're doing everything possible over here to like get things done right. Recovery. Like a couple of my training partners invited me around to their house, and I'm jumping in their hyperbaric chamber. Things like obviously being signed to the UFC now. I get a free range of supplements from Thorn when I live in the UK. I live in the US, and then I've got all my meals from Icon. So like I'm in the trenches, but I'm also getting looked after like nobody's business. It's great to be over here and in the mix with these guys, and all they do is train morning, noon, and night. So and then at night time they recover, and then they come back to the gym in the morning. So you couldn't be in a better place.
Because that's the thing as well, about your meals and stuff like that. That must take a lot of pressure off you. Let's see, having that one less thing to worry about during fight camp. Like, because I imagine everything's like processed, like protein, carbohydrates, fruit, calories. So that's one less headache for yourself.
Oh, mate, like all the guys in that are through there, they're cooking and shit. Like some of them are in Bellator, some of them in the UFC, but they're not in camp at the moment, so they don't get the meals. They're all taking 15, 20 minutes to get their meals ready. I walk up the stairs after my shower, bang in the microwave, and I'm good to go. It's fucking perfect.
Aye, because Chris, like, as most people know, this is your second stint on the Contender Series. So I wanted to kind of take us back a wee bit and look at the first stint that you had on the Contender Series because you've been on it twice. So you're originally supposed to fight Manuel Gaxia on it. Is that right?
Yep, that's it.
And then that fight fell through. Was that a stomach problem that he had in the run up to the weigh-in?
Yeah, so well, he missed weight for number one, and then they said he had stomach issues. The UFC, like I spoke to some of the staff at the UFC, and they said, "We'll get you to the hospital and get you treated," and they refused that. So that fucking rings alarm bells straight away for me. And then when the fight was going to go ahead, and then I seen him walk outside when me and my coach and my nutritionist were. Um, Playing basketball, and I was just like getting a bit of movement after I got myself fueled up again, and I seen him walk out with his head down and didn't even acknowledge us. Like, like when I'm walking about, like you need some sort of posture, you need some sort of like presence, and he just looked like. And I said to my coach, I was like, he'll be fucked if he walks out like that tomorrow. And then lo and behold, 40 minutes later, the fight was cancelled. Um, so obviously I was in fucking hysterics. I felt like my opportunity had gone. So we we tried to recoup. We tried. There was no way we could have got somebody else in because they couldn't do the weigh in that day. And then I went to the show, and Dana White walked past. I think he was going to go to the toilet, and I just shouted him. I just grabbed him and it's like Dana, and then he was like a bit shocked that I'd shouted him, and he managed to speak to me for a little bit, and I explained to him to my situation. He's like, "What, stomach issues?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he brought me over to the table when everything was going on. Like there was nobody out fighting just yet, but they pretty much stopped the event for me. And then I was talking to Sean Shelby and Dana White, and they said, "Right, we're going to try and get you on Friday, and we'll just sign you as a fighter to the UFC." So he says, "Like, get ready to make weight again." So I went from 156, like my weight, so it's like 70.7 kilos, all the way up to 82 kilos, which is like 181. So I had to cut all that weight again, which was fucking a task in its own. So then I started water loading again and dieting properly again and getting rid of the carbohydrates, and I had to run to burn off all the glycogen that I already had in my body. So it was a task in its own. And then it came to the time, like it was Friday night, and I was getting ready to go and jump in the sauna. So I phoned my manager. I was like, "Have we got a match? Like, do I make weight?" And he's like, "Nah, you've not got a match, buddy." He's like, "I'll phone you in the morning, and we'll get you a flight home." And I was like, "Right, cool." So went and got some food. Went to In-N-Out Burger as you do. Got some sweeties. Got some fizzy juice. Enjoyed it. And then I woke up in the morning to a phone call to my manager, and he said, "I've got some good news. I've got some bad news." He said, I've got you a fight in 10 days on the Contender Series." And then my heart just sank because I'd already told my girlfriend and my daughter that I was coming home, and she was obviously upset that I was only meant to be in Vegas for, I think it was like, I think it was only meant to be a week, and I ended up staying there for nearly 3 weeks, nearly four. Um, and like it was just an absolute fuck up. It was just too much. I made the weight when I was actually making weight for the first. So then I just accepted the fight, obviously, and then come to cutting the weight, and then I started sweating like normal, and then halfway through my weight cut, my body just stopped sweating. It just gave up. It just decided that I'm not giving out this anymore. So I spoke to my nutritionist on the phone. They told me to go into a really cold room, put ice on my heart, put ice on the back of my head, put ice on top of my head, put ice on my hands, my feet, my stomach, just to try and cool off my body. He says, because your body's gone into so much stress, it needs to feel like it's going to cool down again. So we did that for 15, 20 minutes, and then I went back into the room and began to sweat again, which is a sigh of relief because I thought I wasn't going to be able to make the weight. Then obviously I made weight, and then they were scheduled to fight Slava. And to be honest with you, man, like I'm not going to make any excuses, but like I felt great. Like I didn't feel like I was tired. I didn't feel like I was drained. But thinking back, and when I jumped in there, I felt so fucking slow. Like I felt like there was like lead in my feet, lead in my hands. It just nothing was clicking, and I was just like I was not responding, and I wasn't thinking properly, and then obviously got hit with a left hook, and then that was me down. So I lost that fight. But through all that commotion and all that hard work I done, Dana White personally and also Sean Shelby came through to the back and said to me like, "Listen, we appreciate what you done." He said, you're a trooper." He said, "We want you back." He says, "Go away, have one fight, and then we'll have you back on the show." So that's what I done. I just went away, had another fight, and I had my bout with Charlie Campbell afterwards.
Because that's the thing as well. Let's see when you were cutting weight for the UFC event, was there any names that they were throwing about, or was it just they were going to ring
Yeah,
round
so
and see what they could
the
do?
first name was Jim Miller, but the commission had said that they wouldn't allow that because my record at the time was 7-0. So they weren't going to allow that because he had more losses than I had wins. So it was like the commission just would not flatline allow that unless I'd had a couple of fights in the UFC. So that kind of fell through, and that was the fight we were trying to get, but then it didn't turn out. So like after that, after the fight, and see the thing is, like, I did everything I possibly could. It's not like I was fucking like I didn't try. So like I was quite happy with how it went all out. I was fucking obviously upset, and I had my cries, and I went home and seen my family, and fucking felt a bit miserable for a couple of days, but I got over it pretty quick. And then got another fight, so straight back in there.
Yeah, because I remember like one of the first times me and you ever done one of these podcasts together. One of the questions I asked you was the difference between like the level here and the level in America, and you were explaining that sometimes it's like that 0.5% that can make the whole difference. Is that what you felt on the
Yeah,
night with Slavia? That it, like, because obviously, like we've seen in the UFC, Slava is a motherfucker of a striker. He is so good. Like
yep,
his fight with Dakota Bush when he
yep,
floored them with that liver shot, like that was a thing of absolute
yep.
beauty. Did you feel that was something that you took away from that fight? That it was maybe just that 0.5% on the night, like due to the like his free weight cuts and what was it, like less than 20 days? Like
Yeah.
that's absolutely insane on the body.
Yeah, it's not good. Like I pissed kidney stones and all that when I came home. I wasn't feeling good. Like my kidneys were sore for days. My liver was sore. My body took about, I reckon, my body took about 6 to 8 weeks to get back to feeling normal. Um, I was getting like pain when I was urinating, and that was to do with the kidney stones. And then I had phoned NHS 24, and they said that I must have passed the kidney stone already, and that's where the pain was coming from. Like I'd scratched my urethra, which was like they said. So like if it doesn't go away in the next 14 days, you need to come back in and they get you on some medication and stuff. But like this is like a game of inches, and at the UFC you do not get a easy fight. So like I was happy to like saying this, like I maybe should have rested him because like everybody's like, what you done? He's like, would have got you the contract. And I was like, but fuck man, it might not have got me another shot. Like imagine I wrestle fucked him to death, lay on top of him, didn't really go for a submission, just like styled out the rounds. Like, do you think I would have been in the position I am just now? Absolutely not. So like these things happen for a reason, and I'm quite happy that it all turned out the way it did. And look at the position I'm in now. I'm just right. It took me an extra 6 months on my career, just to get to UFC, and that's nothing.
That's the thing as well. It's easy to say these things after. Like it's easy for people who sometimes are armchair quarterback and say this is what you
Yeah,
should have done after the fight. But that's the benefit of hindsight. Like you're dealing in real life, real time scenarios, and you don't always get that do over, but you get a learning experience from it. So like you gained knowledge through that loss as much sometimes as you do with a win.
of course, mate. It's almost fucking like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's almost cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, you, if I'm right, you signed with Cage Warriors during that time between the Slava fight and the Charlie Campbell fight. What happened there? Because I remember seeing that you'd signed, but never seen any bout agreements or anything like that with them.
Yeah, so I was signed to fight. So I signed, and then they couldn't get me a match. So I was like, I wanted a match before Christmas, and they couldn't provide that for me. So they gave me a one fight release from the contract, and then I fought, and then I won, and then my manager sent Sean Shelby the video of me fucking battering that poor guy in London, and then I got my shot again. So I think I might still be signed to Cage Warriors. I don't know, but like I'm not going back there anyway. So I'm here in the UFC, and I'm here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got that fight with Charlie Campbell, which I was rewatching earlier, and I think if anyone out there hasn't seen that fight, it's one of the most fucking chaotic first rounds you'll ever see. It was. I remember watching it at the time, and like your hands were in like my hands were in my head, just going like what the fuck is actually happening here? It was a chaotic fight. Like, what is your take on that? Like, looking back on it.
So obviously Charlie hit me with a good shot to start off with, and actually I thought he'd poked me in the eye, but he hadn't. He'd just hit me with a good shot, and he'd actually damaged my eye a little bit. So my vision was like blurry. I couldn't see. And pre-fight, I was always wanting to move, and I wanted to move a little bit more and piece him up a little bit, like going into round one and two. But that opportunity didn't arise, so I had to think on the spot, and I just in the in the moment, I had a single leg against the cage, and I was like, "This can't be happening again. Fuck, go away! Like, get off me! Like, I need to get some space." And I thought, this guy isn't going away, so I just thought, sit down on one of my shots. I said, I just need to get a bit of respect, and then hit him with that 1-2, and then that was fucking good night for Charlie Campbell.
Yeah, because when you came out to that fight, you were throwing a lot of heavy leg kicks to the lead leg. Was that a game plan that you had going in to take away his lead leg and kind of take away the boxing combinations from him?
Of course, of course. He was quite a long fighter anyway. I wanted to. What happened in the fight was I kind of rushed in a little bit due to him calf kicking me. I tried to kind of get that combination back. I tried to counter too early without making any angle. So that's how I got hit with a counter right hand when I'm rushing in to throw a leg kick. But the kind of game plan was for him was to totally outskill him, and jab and move a little bit and kind of get a feel for it, but I didn't get a chance because obviously I got cracked with that right hand to start off with, and then he noticed that obviously my eye was compromised. He seen me wiping it a few times, and he just would not fuck off. So I just had to fucking sit into it.
But that was the thing as well. Although at times, like especially when he was landing the uppercuts when you were shooting, like you were mixing it all together really well as well. Like you were mixing the strikes in with the takedowns, and you could see that looked to be getting him a bit flustered a wee bit as well. Because although
Yeah,
you're saying you wanted him off you, it looked like he wanted you off him. Like he wanted that like traditional kickboxing fight.
separation.
Aye, like
Yeah,
he was wanting to strike, and when you were mixing in the takedowns, you could see that it was putting him off a wee bit. And then
yeah.
when you landed that big cross, it was you, you just seen the way his eyes went, it just rolled to the back of his head.
I couldn't went to fucking Uranus. He was gone.
But you've mentioned him like quite a bit throughout the interview already as your manager. So you're signed with Sucker Punch Management Company. What is it? What's been the benefit of having like such a big name manager?
So previously I was obviously signed to another manager, and I was kind of the big fish in the small pond. Now I'm the small fish in the big pond, which I think I prefer. I like to kind of like style underneath the radar and not worry about what's going on. And the good thing about my manager is he doesn't bullshit me. I'm like, have I got a fight? And he's like, I'm looking, like I'm not, I'm gonna get you one soon. I was like, I promise I'm working on it. Like he's not saying like, yeah, I'll get you this fight, I'll get you this fight, I'll get you. So I have like full trust in him. And I think just all in, he's a good guy. Like after my contender series fight, he took us out for drinks and took us to a Korean barbecue. It's fucking delicious. So I don't think you get many managers like him. And he's one of the good ones.
Yeah, and and that's good as well. But it also seems good that he's got experience of working with the UFC and like being in negotiations with the UFC as well. So like you see that with a lot of
Yeah.
managers, once they get their foot in the door, it seems a lot easier for some of their other fighters to get in because the UFC
Well,
have that kind of level of trust with them.
yeah, well, he's fucking got UFC champions. He's also got just the UFC fighters, so he knows the kind of pay scale. So he knows how much he can push and how much he can't. So that's very, very important. You don't want to fucking be like lose a contract through fucking silly negotiation tactics. So I have all faith in him, and he doesn't fuck about, which is the most important thing.
And that's it as well, that he'll be getting the best deal for you because although you're saying you don't want to go in too high, you also sometimes get managers that go in too low and
Oh, aye, for sure.
end up getting an appalling deal for their fighter. And what a fight career, it's short lived.
Fucking right, and I've not got much money as it is, so I'm needing a new contract.
But that's the thing as well, Chris, like you're on UFC. Can we say the name of your opponent?
Yeah, he's just put. Yeah, it's been announced.
Right, I wasn't too sure there. So you're on UFC 286 against Omar Morales. How do you
That's it.
before we got onto your opponent? How are you feeling about UFC 286 as a card?
The most exciting fight on that is going to be either myself or Faziz and Gaethje. So that's the two fights I'm gonna. So I'm in competition with Justin Gaethje to get this 50 grand bonus. So that's my incentive. In regards to my opponent, he's just another name, another number. He seems to be great at like a couple of good things, but like I feel like I could exploit like many, many, many different traits that I've been working on throughout my training camp here. And like, do you know what's crazy? Like he's from Venezuela, I'm from Scotland, but we train like I'm talking like 30 minutes away from each other. Like I'm American top team and he's at Killcliff MMA. So he's like I might actually see him in Walmart or some shit down the road.
But but I suppose that's kind of the beauty of where you are now in the world of MMA. Like, so sometimes that you might get scheduled against guys that are from American top team as well, because we've seen that happen.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot actually, especially in PFL.
Yeah, because the team's so big. But yeah, I completely agree with what you were saying about that. The Justin Gaethje Rafael Fiziev fight, like that is going to. I know it's headlined by Usman and Edwards, but that I think that fight is going to be an absolute banger.
Is that a 5 rounder or a 3 rounder?
3 rounder, I think.
Yeah, still banger.
I think 3 rounds with them two is all you really need. Like you're going to be going
Aye,
regardless, and you might get a
fucking
bigger
right,
output straight away. But is that
fucking
like
right.
the card's been getting a lot of, I don't want to say hate, but it's been getting a lot of shit online. But it actually seems like I was having a look at it earlier, and it seems that it's filled with really good, like really great fighters.
It'll be one of those ones that until you get to the event, it's not going to be like Molly McCann still to get announced for it and stuff. There's is it Jack Shore versus Mac Makwan Amarkani? Like
Yeah,
fuck, that's a deadly fight. That's a brilliant fight. And Jack Shore's went up to 145. There's Faziz. There's me. There's fucking Gaethje. Who's like, what fucking more do you want? Like Jesus Christ.
because there's Vittori Roman.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
Roman. I can't remember his second name. The Georgian fellow.
yeah. He just submitted Jack Hermanson with a calf slicer like fucking TKO thing.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, Dolzade or Doldazi or something. His second name is, but
something like that. Aye.
aye, like he. And then you've got Sam Patterson, who's coming over for Brave. He also fought in the Contender Series, making his debut.
Yeah,
It's absolutely Mohamed Makayev as well. It's absolutely stacked.
yeah. It's a fucking show and a half.
Yeah,
Fuck them all. Fuck the haters. They're always going to say something. Eh?
but that was the thing as well. Like, you were originally scheduled to fight Michael Figlack. Did you ever
Yep.
hear what happened with him? Was it an injury?
I think he blew his knee out. I'm not too sure. Um, we'll get that fight again. It doesn't matter. Just let him recover. I wished him all the best. I messaged him on his page saying, like, I wish you all the best for your recovery. And I said, let's make this happen in the future because, like, he came from Cage Warriors. He was probably next in line to get the title shot. So I'm sure that sort of fight can happen in the future.
Yeah, because that was one of the fights that when it was announced, like a lot of the people in the who watched the kind of Cage Warriors over in the UK, they were very excited about that fight because I
Yeah.
remember when Michael Figlack fought Stevie McIntosh, uh, that was that was one of the best performances of the year. Like he looked absolutely
He
incredible.
looked, he looked solid there. He had good boxing, but he's got no chance with me. Like, that's a fact. He would never have done what he'd done to him, what he'd done to me. He wouldn't be able to. He would have to respect my power. He just couldn't handle getting hit. You know what I mean? And just like that sort of pressure on somebody that's not got power, is fine. But like, he's definitely not going to do that to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you were mentioning it a wee bit at the start of the interview as well that you've recently became a father. Like I think your daughter might be one or something, might be one. So how has becoming a dad helped shape your outlook as a fighter?
It's good. It's obviously it's given me an incentive to provide for my family a little bit more. But nothing's really changed in the sense like I've been doing this since day dot. The only thing that I do miss is I'm missing out on some good quality time with her at the moment. But it's all for a good reason, especially when I go home back with 50K in my back pocket. So I'll take the guys on the holiday with me and all that sort of stuff. But this is just the way it is, man. It's just my girlfriend's very supportive of what I do, and I'm sure when my daughter gets older, she will be too, and she'll understand why I go for so long. And the toughest thing for me, honestly, was like my daughter, when I was leaving, she knows that I leave to go to work, so she'll say bye, and she'll say ta ta, and she'll say go to work, bye bye, and then the at night before I left, I had to say goodbye to her, and I said, "Dad's away to work. I'm away for 10 weeks." Blah blah blah. And the thought of me leaving and her getting up in the morning and not knowing that I was going to be there, and not knowing how long I was going to be away was quite hurtful. It was a very very difficult time. Probably one of the most difficult times I've had leaving, because obviously I get to speak to my girlfriend back and forth, but like leaving my daughter back at home and her not knowing I was away, and she can't even comprehend what I'm doing right now. But that was really difficult. But as I say, it's for a reason, and I'll be more than happy to come back and take her off swimming lessons and go and party with her and play in the garden. So, but it's good things come in time.
Yeah, and that's it as well. Like when you get home, like your girlfriend will deserve some well-earned time off. So I think you'll be hit.
Aye, that's it. She'll be away. She'll be partying for the next 6 weeks.
She'll be away to Ibiza with the gals.
Aye, exactly. She'll probably just go into her mum's for a fucking sleep.
It'll be right. It'll be rightfully earned as well. But like part of your career, and it's something that you've always been kind of vocal of having Robert Whiteford in your corner and been able to train with him and stuff like that. Like, how important has that been as your development as a martial artist? Because I was looking through it today, and like, there's only ever been seven, like including yourself, seven Scottish people signed to the UFC. So the wealth of knowledge out there about what it's like to actually sign for the UFC, what it's everything that comes with it, the media obligations, the increased popularity. How important has that been to have someone like Robert in your corner as a training partner and mentor?
Robert's a different breed. Robert's like, just because Robert didn't have the longest stint in the UFC doesn't mean that he's not top caliber. I've not trained like I've trained all over the world, as you know. I've trained with Russians. I've trained over in Thailand. I've trained here at American Top Team. Like, Robert is elite. Robert is top of the bill. Um, just like Robert. Robert's a funny character. He's very like myself. He likes to keep himself in the background and not really worry about what other people are doing. He doesn't like drama. So Robert and I train Monday. Well, sometimes we train every day of the week together, just depending on what our schedule's like, and what my work's like. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we wrestle. We come in, we do our work, and we go home. And Robert shows me something. I don't ask any questions. I just do it, and I think he respects that, which is important. Like, I have all faith in his grappling, and like, I think he feels that if he shows something to somebody, he's like putting his arm out to give help, and if they don't respect that and don't do what he says, he's like, I'm not wasting my time with that. So, ever since I started working with Robert, I just did exactly what he told me and didn't say boot or ghost. I just got the head down, and fucking, when did I turn pro? I turned pro, and so nearly 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 now. So, like, I was training with him when I was an amateur, and like, just turning up, get my ass kicked, turning up, get my ass kicked, and then slowly but surely he starts to get a little bit more even. He still kicks my ass, but he's such a good grappler. Being that black belt in judo, I'm very very fortunate to have some guy like that at that caliber in my corner, and it's quite good because I get on really well with him, because he's a simple person. He just likes come and train, likes a bit of crack, and that's it. No hassle.
And that's the thing as well. Like you were saying that as well. Like, although he didn't have the longest stint in the UFC, like, he's been around forever and he's fought in the biggest promotions in the world forever. Like, at the UFC, it's a lot of times it could be a roll of the dice on the night, how a training camps went, how a
Yep.
person's feeling on the night. Like the UFC, it's very cutthroat, and I feel it's very harsh when a fighter's whole career or whole everything they put into the sport is based off such a short period. When they reach the UFC, there's a lot it builds up to, and a lot it
Yeah,
builds up after as well, in my opinion.
totally, man, totally. Robert won his last fight. He lost against that Brazilian guy that was obviously then 2 months later popped for steroids, and then he was thrown out. Then he went and fought in Brave. You know, like back in the day, like we didn't have USADA like it is now. Um, there's a lot of different factors. You lose 2 fights in the UFC, you're cut. It's as simple as that. They don't fuck about. Everybody wants to be a part of the UFC, so that's why they're so cutthroat. And Robert's fought in Bellator now, and I don't know where he's going to fight next. I think he's just sitting on it and waiting to see what happens. Um, but yeah, phenomenal character, and yeah, I'm very lucky to have had him. Like I pestered the life out of him until I remember being an amateur and like saying to Chris Crow that owned MXP at the time. I was like, "Can you get me a training session with Robert?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And let me speak to him. And he would kind of pie me off a little bit, and then I'd message him on Instagram, and he'd pie me off. And then one day he contacted me and was like, "Chris, you want to do some boxing sparring?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And I actually had work that day. I just cancelled work. I just pulled a sickie and then just went into the gym. And since then, Robert's been by my side and helped me all the way.
Because like you've been around MMA for a while, and for people outside the UK, I don't think it's really appreciated like how much particularly Scottish MMA has come on over the last 5 to 10 years, and you've been a big part of that. Like you've fought in like you've came through the Scottish regional circuit. You worked your way to Bellator, and now you're in the UFC.
Yeah,
So you came through that pathway, and you're helping lay the foundations a lot, like the way kind of Robert done as well. Like the whole, like with Robert, he didn't really have anyone in front of him to learn from in a
yeah.
Scottish capacity. So, how much have you seen the Scottish MMA scene came on since you made your amateur debut?
Oh, loads, loads. Scottish MMA is fucking amazing. Like I remember watching a fucking um SFC like back in the day when Craig Mott fought in it and that. Like the standard back then was nowhere near as what it is now. Deep down inside as well, I'm quite proud of myself. Um, Getting to where I am, staying with my coach Adam Stevenson at Evo Gym, and not going to one of the bigger gyms like Hit Squad. Like obviously I've cross trained a little bit, but I never left Adam, and I stayed with him, and I went and cross trained and sparred at other gyms like higher level and that as well. I feel like I've kind of done this myself, and um, just took it upon myself that like be a man and be like, right, this is what I need, rather than like thinking the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. Don't get me wrong, I've had to cross train, but I think that's been part of the kind of journey that's been important, because like going to cross train at other gyms, you kind of get that nerves. Remember your first training session, your first sparring session, your heart rate's up, and that kind of simulates the fight. So I feel that's been a kind of a good journey for myself. And I've travelled the world. I've seen Thailand. I've been to London to train at Brad Pickett's gym. I've been here at American Top Team. I've been at a couple of other places. Like I've been down to England to train. Went over to Ireland. I've done all this stuff. I've travelled the world. So it's built me as a character and made me learn that you're not fucking made of glass.
No, absolutely. And like the stuff that you learn from it, like American Top Team or Great Britain Top Team, like that's all information and knowledge that you can bring back to help your own team grow.
Of course.
And that's something that's it's always been quite impressive as well, because like you used the phrase there, like people think the grass is always greener, and there's never enough emphasis put on like what having the same coach can actually do for a fighter. Not just
Yep.
really a technical aspect, but in terms of like personal aspect. Like see the best example I can think of is with Leon Edwards when he fought Kamaru Usman. Like, I don't think there's any other coach in the world that could have got Leon Edwards as fired up as he did for that last round than the coach has had his whole life. And just knowing the words
Totally.
to say, knowing you as a person, and knowing what makes you click, knowing when you're having a good day, knowing when you're having a bad day, and just being, because you've mentioned in interviews before that you see Adam as like a kind of, he's also like a kind of father figure, like outside the cage as well. So like having that
Totally.
relationship's so important.
Yeah. Does my fucking nutting sometimes, but
Like all good coaches probably will.
it's like fucking having a child sometimes.
But Chris, I know you're very busy, so we're just going to cut to the last section, which is we asked people to send in some questions for you. So we've got a couple, and just get your thoughts on them if that's all right.
Not a problem, mate. Not a problem.
So when we put out on Instagram that you were coming up, you were coming on, we get a lot of questions for both fighters, professional, amateur, and fans. So the reception we got was absolutely amazing. So I think that just showcases like how much the Scottish people are behind you. Is that something you're kind of
Yeah.
feeling since you signed for the UFC?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I get a lot of messages every single day, like of different people, and like I can't just message every single person. It's not feasible. Like I woke up this morning after my fight's obviously been announced, and I had like 27 messages, like message requests from absolute randoms. I was like, no way, I'm going through all that, man. Like I just have to delete it. It's a shame. I wish I could, and I wish I had the time, but I fucking hell, I've barely got time to wait my arse now. So, um, I just like I'll reply to some now and again, but yeah, I really do appreciate the support, and I apologise for not replying to everybody, but I do appreciate you.
Ah, because I've noticed now you're verified on Instagram. You've hit the big time.
I've made it. I've made it.
I was half expecting you to big time me when I asked you for this interview. I was half expecting no reply. But yeah, we'll just jump into the fan questions. So, what's been what difference have you found between training for a UFC fight compared to training for a fight to get into the UFC?
Absolutely nothing. I put my heart, my soul, I leave no stone unturned. Like it's the same as my first fight. It's the same mindset. It's the same caliber. I still think this guy could beat me. I still fucking worked so hard. Like I've got this guy in the back of my mind right now, thinking this guy could beat me. This guy could beat me. But then I put in all this work, and I'm like, this guy can't beat me. So that's the reason why I put myself in this horrible situation, being away from my family for 10 weeks, and like look at the state of this room. Like I'm just between like it's like fucking like there's not a single window in this place. It's just like fucking hell, you know. This is why I'm in the trenches because I want to make sure I beat this guy in spectacular fashion.
And that's it as well. Like, see when you're seeing that you're training with the likes of Jorge Masvidal, Thiago Alves, like you're training with the best guys in the world over there at ATT.
That's it, mate. Can't get any better.
And you made Jorge Masvidal look quite small. Like, see that picture that you put beside him? I was like, what? I was like, who is? Like, I was a bit like, who's the fucking welterweight here? But yeah, the second question we got, and it's been quite controversial in social media this week. But what is your thoughts on the Power Slap League?
I fucking love it. Tell me this right now, right? You see somebody lining somebody up like this, right? You see them, they get in, and they're like this. Do you not watch the full video? Of course you watch the full video. It's fucking quality. And then you just see the guy, bang, and he's like fucking down. I think it's brilliant. It's good fun to watch.
It's fantastic, and like Dana White's getting a lot of shit for it, but it's been around for ages. Like it's massive in
Fuck.
Poland and Russia.
Fuck them, man. It doesn't matter. It's just like if you sit and watch the fucking TikTok video, the ratings go up. Like it is what it is. Like if people watch it, you can't fucking dispute it. It's like I'm trying to think what I can compare it to, but like everybody tunes in, and you got to remember the UFC was hated at the start because it was barbaric. Now look at it; it's the prestige sport of the world. Like it's the biggest sport. It's going to be the biggest sport in the world.
Absolutely agree, and it's that way as well when you're what with this the Power Slap League. It's bringing a bit of a legitimacy to it because beforehand it did look like when you watch the Russian videos, it did look a bit. It looked like the wild west, which is brilliant. Like no one's forcing these guys to do it, but with the
No,
UFC are bringing in athletic commissions, they're bringing in doctors, they're bringing in professionally trained referees, and most importantly, no one's holding a gun to these guys' heads and saying you need to do this.
uh,
Like
they're
fucking.
getting paid like $6 a fight, so it doesn't matter.
And just the last fight, just the last question, sorry, before we let you go. Have you ever been to the UFC PI? If not, do you plan to?
Yeah, I've been to the UFC PI. It was fuck, mate. Like I can't even fathom like how fucking like in the future that place is. It's brilliant. There's like, see the thing is as well is like I'm a bit of a scrounger, and so is my coach Adam. So when we were over there, we're like, oh, it's like coffee machines and that were there were free, and there was like free bottles of like fucking like obviously now the UFC is like sponsored by Prime, but it was body armor when we were there, and there was like bottles of body armor, like fridges upon fridges, and I was like putting them in my bag, and me and Adam were like sitting getting free coffees and shit. It's fucking amazing, by the way. It's so good, mate. It's so good.
So, being signed for the UFC, do you get free bottles of Prime?
No, no. I get one thing I do get is I get these supplements here. Look, I'll turn my camera around if I can. Hold on a wee sec. Can I turn this round? Ah, I can. So I get all these supplements from Thorn, which is fucking brilliant. And then I also get these meals as well, which is crazy. It saved me a fortune. So it's like all these fucking meals pre-packed, ready. You know what I mean? So you barely need to fucking put your hand in your pocket. So like everybody moans at the UFC, like, the UFC don't pay enough. And I've just had 8 weeks. I'll get 8 weeks full of fucking um, free meals and supplements. And like if I order supplements and I want more, I just order them again free of charge. It does not cost me a penny. So I could order like they sent us a fighter package, and the fighter package is this. So they sent me a bit of paper with it all. So this is the fighter package, and it's got how many supplements? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22. So 22 supplements on there, and I can request that as many times as I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to request it like the week before I go home, and then I'll get it and then just post it back to the UK.
Because see, when you're in the UK, do you get that as well when you're in the UK, or is that just an American thing?
No, just an American thing.
Right, that's still pretty amazing.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant, man. But then people don't realise that like when it's fight week and for the UFC fighters, they don't pay for food. The UFC provides them with food.
Right, okay.
Because so it's like you just like there's so much, mate, that like everybody moans about fighter pay, and you hear all these people on Twitter moaning about fighter pay and blah blah blah. But like fucking hell, man, you're getting all this shit for free that you don't take into account. You know, like they're so fucking helpful. It's unbelievable, especially for a guy like me. Like I'm just at the bottom of the ladder at the moment, and like I'm managing to get by. Like I came over here thinking I needed a credit card, so I got a new credit card just to kind of like see me through, just in case. Turns out I don't need it now, and I've got all my meals paid for. Like fucking hell, it's perfect.
And a lot of the time, see when people are talking about like fighter pay, like you get guys like Jake Paul and stuff talking about fighter pay, and you're a bit like, mate, you don't give a fuck about UFC fighters or fighter pay. You just dislike
Nah,
Dana White.
exactly. He's just trying to get a bit hype about himself, and you got to remember, like, uh, with the UFC as a company, like when you fight for boxing, it's like you're fighting for like the WBA or WBO, and when that show's finished, all the money's distributed to all the fighters and all the management team. There's no money left in the pot. So every time they do it, they're like almost in debt to themselves. Whereas the UFC is a company and they earn money. And Dana White, every time somebody says about fighter pay, he always says, "Well, if you think you can do a better job, go ahead, try your best." And nobody will ever do it. That's the thing.
And that's the thing as well. Like people always bring up boxing, but they always talk about the cream of the crop in boxing. They'll always talk about Canelo
The,
Alvarez. They
the
don't
top
talk.
1%.
Aye, they don't talk about the ones at the bottom of the card. Like compare their
No.
pay to the guys opening the prelims in the UFC and see the difference. And also, do you want the shit show that is boxing transferring over to MMA, where you have to wait 25 years to see John Jones fight Daniel Cormier? Like the best guys don't
Aye.
fight the best guys.
I know a professional boxer from down in London. He's 12-0, and he got 5-5 for his last contract. So he made 5,000 to show, 5,000 to win. So he came out with 10 grand, and he's 12-0. Like, that's fucking stupid.
What, we're going off on a wee side tangent here. I know I said I would let you go, but what do you
Sorry.
think about the win bonus? Do you think it should be a flat out rate and then you get a finish bonus, or do you like the win bonus?
Nah, you need an incentive to win, man. Like, fuck, it's like guys might, like, imagine they're getting 100 grand flat for a fight. Sometimes guys don't worry about losing. They just like, yeah, can still get my 100 grand. Whereas, like, I'm fighting, my contract's 10,000 to show, 10,000 to win. So, like, I'm talking like a year's wage for me. This is going to be the most I've ever been paid in my life. So I'm like, the incentive is to win. Like, I'm going out there to win, and there's nothing going to fucking stop me. Because if I get 10 grand in my back pocket, I've been paid 10 grand before. You know what I mean? It's not like like 10 grand isn't going to see me out the year, but 20 grand will. So the incentive's there to put on a show. And imagine when I get my 50 grand.
Yes, but no, Chris. Thank you very much for your time. We hugely appreciate it, especially in the run up to a fight where we know you're extremely busy. You're in your janitor's cupboard in Florida.
Brutal, mate, brutal. It's worth it. It's worth it.
But is there anyone you want to shout out? Any sponsors, anything like that before we wrap up?
Definitely, yeah. There's a few sponsors. I've got a lot of guys helping me since day one. Um, I've got Graham Beveridge from RG Autotech. You know Graham pretty well, don't you? He's one of the guys. He sponsored my first fight, and he's still on board. He still helps me out loads. I've got a new sponsor, Prime Secure. So that's Robert Dempster. He's helped me out, and I've actually gained a good friend through meeting him. He took me out to a boxing event down in London. I'm very appreciative of him. I've met a lot of good guys over the years, and I've got like things like Flora Fusion and Crypto Glasgow. They're on board as well. These guys are the good thing about this is like I've not got very many sponsors that help me out financially, but the ones that do, they're for me, and they really want to push me as well. You know, like I'm not just pushing their product; they're pushing me as well, which I'm really grateful for. And also Ross Lockhart, he's through RLC Travel. Um, he's sponsored me probably since I've been a professional. And he'd give me a drive to the airport, which is fucking some trip, you know. So like I'm really appreciative of those guys. And if I've missed anybody out, you know, like I'm sorry, but there's a lot of guys. ESP Physio as well. Their physiotherapy. I'm messaging them all the time when I hurt my ankle. You know, pestering them. You know, there's loads of people. But I'm very grateful for everybody that's been a part of it, and like I'll never go unmissed. Like I'll always do my best to help out. You know.
Because you've got your own merchandise range as well over at Fanboy.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you go over to my bio, there's a link that takes you over to Fanboy's page. You can get any of the clothing, but make sure you click on the Fanboy page and like it's the home page and click on my name, and it'll come up with a full list of clothing. Because I think the link I've got in my Instagram bio is just for the problem t-shirts, but we've got some London ones, and we've got some other ones as well. So if I would appreciate it if anybody would go and buy, because obviously that will help out as well. You know, Me and Fanboy, we take a percentage each, and then we keep some in the pot to keep new merch coming out. So anything you can do, or anybody that can buy a t-shirt off there would be hugely appreciated. And it's good quality gear, man.
I've seen his stuff. His stuff's amazing. Aye.
It's great, mate. It's great. Everybody's jumped on the bandwagon as well. I think we've started out a good business.
And he seems to be doing amazing things for the Scottish fighters, because when you look through it, it's mostly Scottish guys he's got on his list, and the content looks amazing.
It's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant. He's done such a good job. Big shout out to Ryan.
But no, Chris, thank you very much for your time, and we'll let you get going.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. And anytime you need a podcast, you know I'm here for you, big man.